Hello and good evening and welcome to the first ever episode of That's the Spirit with me, Julian Jenkins. And over the coming weeks and months, I'll be hosting an interactive spiritual show every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on our Light and Harmony page. As you know, this is an interactive show, not just from the spirit world, but also with you. We want you to be the star and we want you to pop and feel free to pop your questions, just say hello, or it would be great to know that you're here. So if you can tell us where you're from and how you're watching us this evening, that would be fantastic. And what we'll do then is we'll also select a number of posts as we go along. There's also a serious side to That's the Spirit. We're looking to raise money for our Light and Harmony Wellness and College project. And we'll go into that more detail a little bit later on. But if you'd like to donate £3 via the link on the side, that would be amazing. You'll also be entered into a random draw to win a one-card reading, which will take place a little bit later on. Just to go on now to see what's going to be happening in tonight's show. We're going to be starting off at 9:05 with our guest, the Reverend Linda Rausch, who's waiting as we speak. At 9:25, we're going to have a guest Q and answer session. So please feel free to pop your answers or questions, in the comment section. And also then at 9:35, we're going to be looking at the Wellness Project. We're also going to have a card reading at 9:45. As I said, if you make a donation and put that in the comment section on the right-hand side, you may win a one-card reading. And at 9:50, well, we're going to try something that we've never done before, which is a guided meditation online. We're going to do a little bit of a woodland walk. So that should be nice. And we should finish that off around about at 10 o'clock. So what I'd like to do now, if we can, is I'd like to introduce our first guest for this evening on this That's the Spirit. What a great pleasure I have to introduce the Reverend Linda Rausch, who has many strings to her spiritual bow, an experienced homeopath medium, an initiated Wiccan priestess, and a spiritualist reverend with an amazing website. Just pardon the pun, but it's www.spiritualhomeopathy.co.uk. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome onto the show for the first time, if you didn't watch last week, Reverend Linda Rausch. Linda, how are you today?
I'm very good. Hello there. Hi.
And we're going to go on with the show, and it's going to be the first one we've done, so I'm going to be flipping back and forth and seeing where we go. So if I get the transitions wrong or something goes wrong, then just bear with us, and I'm sure as we get better as we do things, then we'll go forward. And there's lots of things going on, and already we have people in the comments section, Linda. We've just a thought, you never think you'd see this, but hi Julian, we're watching in Curacoa, and Chris comes to my circle in South Wales, so I just thought I'd pop that up. Hi, Chris. How are you? Hope you're enjoying your holiday. Can't believe you've taken a little bit of time out to watch us this evening. I'm just glad it's working, which is the first thing. So, Linda, let's talk about yourself. Let's have a little bit of a potted history. There was a big intro in terms of what you do. We met at the Arthur Findlay College a couple of weeks ago, and I know I had a joke on the other show about I had the great pleasure of walking you home every evening down that very narrow and winding path. And at the end, we had a conversation, really. We hadn't really spoke much in the week because we were in different courses. But I loved what you said when you come to me at the end of the week. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have a first guest, let's go and get the Reverend Linda Rausch on. So it was great to meet you. Tell me a little bit about how you found Arthur Findlay and the reasons why you went.
Okay, well, if I start at the beginning, I was about 7 years old, or I could start the week before when I suddenly decided I wanted to go to Arthur Findlay. So let's start the week before. It was one of those typical spirit-led things that I had seen a course that I wanted to do. I decided I couldn't do it because school holidays, etc., etc. And then I heard Andy Bing do a spirit talk YouTube posting, and I thought, yeah, he sounds interesting. Maybe I can go. And then the world just opened up, and some of my patients cancelled, and this happened, that happened, and the waters parted, and I was able to go, and luckily they had a space, and that was it. There I was, which is pretty much how a lot of things seem to happen nowadays.
Yeah, and I think I think it was a great week, wasn't it? We really enjoyed it. And what did you think at the end of it? What did you, because the reasons we went there, but how did you find it, and what was your thought process when you left? Did it expand your mediumship sort of mind, if you like?
Yes, I mean, the reason why I tend to go, if I'm really, really truthful about it, is that it's lovely to be among other people, other mediums, other like-minded people. And that's the main pull for me. Obviously, I love having the incredible teachings that we get with the staff there, who are really exceptional mediums. And in terms of developing my mediumship, there's nothing else that compares. It's fantastic. So that's all really good, but it's just great when you're in a world where most of the people, materialistic people, who don't really value what we do. It's great to be somewhere where you know that everybody there does. And,
good evening and welcome to that. Sorry about that. They just cut in then. Sorry. I told you we'd have a few spiritual glitches on the way. It is nice, isn't it? It's nice to be around like-minded people. I think that's one of the key things, isn't it? Because, again, when we talk about who we are and the movement we're in, and, I'm comfortable now to say that I'm Julian Jenkins, a spiritualist who practices mediumship, is that when you meet people and you say you're a medium, the first thing they initially say is, can you give me a reading? And I think, and I suppose it's the same as if you're a comedian. You'd say, tell us a joke, or a magician, you show us a trick. So I get it. But when you're in Arthur Findlay, it is nice because everybody around you really is of the same, really.
Yeah. And that's rare, because we don't have it easy as mediums in the world. We really don't. It's we are so blessed, and it's any of us who do this kind of work, we recognize just how special it is, and it's not something that can be laughed at or something that can be marginalized. It actually becomes it becomes so important. It becomes very central to your life. So it's very important to get the support of other people that understand that.
And how are you using your mediumship in sort of your everyday work? Does it cross across your homeopathy? Does it, and those sort of things? Does it work that way around?
Well, I think one of the things, in fact, that we talked about with John Johnson, who was my teacher at Arthur Findlay last month, was that actually a medium is somebody that is not, essentially it's a larger word than just somebody that brings through spirit and gives messages from your dead loved ones. Actually, it's a way of life, and that one day you can just kind of stand and being a medium without actually having to say a word, and people will get everything they need. Ultimately, in the ideal world, when people who come to see you are able to access that, you just stand there and you kind of channel the energy of spirit, because spirit is imbued in everything that I do when I am my most expanded. Obviously, when I've had a bad day, I've had a fight with, the postman, or some silly little thing, the cat's been sick again, or whatever it is, you can track down into the human life, into the human day-to-day, the rat race, etc. But when you're able to hold that sense of expansion, that divine, then that being a medium is in everything that I do. In terms of actually using spirit guidance in my work, and getting messages and actually hearing specific words or ideas or whatever, I'm very open to that with the homeopathy, and I'm very lucky because I do have whoever it is on the other side of life, whether they were fabulous mediums, fabulous homeopaths or doctors or whatever, but I do get a lot of very, very good information through. Sometimes it's remedies that I've never heard of, and there are thousands and thousands of remedies, so any homeopath could not possibly know every remedy. And I'll hear it and I'll think, I didn't even know there was a remedy. I'll look it up and there it is, just for exactly those symptoms. But I won't mix the two in the sense that it's always backed up with the homeopathic literature. I won't just base it on, I'm told a remedy and I'll give a remedy. I always check it out. That's, the structure of homeopathy.
Homeopathy, we spoke about before we came on in. It massively interests me, but again, as you said, it is all about those subtle energies, and that's what we're working with. And And we've got some, just before we go back into it, we've got some people who are commenting now as it goes. So I'm just going to flip a few up just to say, Audrey, who was on our course, it took her 8 minutes to find us. But she's here now. So you've missed the best 8 minutes, Audrey. So you need to rewind at the end and start again, really. Cheryl as well, who's from Barry, not far from where she joins in our group on a Monday, and Lisa says that she's really enjoying it. So we're definitely on the right spiritual path. But tell me a little bit more about, because obviously we call Reverend Linda Rausch. How are you finding churches? And I know we discussed this on the other program. I think it's important as well. But how are you finding churches? And one of the things that I spoke about in church when I did my rostrum on Sunday is making this whole movement resonate and current for the generation that want to be more spiritual than religious. So I think that's important. How do you see it going? How can we get to resonate, and how can we fill these churches every Sunday?
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, we did talk about this last week, and it was very interesting because ideas have developed since then in my mind. And we thought, I think, again, if you're sensitive or medium, very often we've kind of all been searching for our tribe. And that's one of the purposes of spiritualist churches, is that that's a place where you'll find other members of the tribe. So for me, a spiritualist church like Arthur Findlay is going to a place where I know that I'll be accepted, and that I'm not just entertainment or a circus act or somebody to be teased or to be questioned. So that is a big part of the church experience. For me, and why I was drawn to go into the spiritualist churches in the first place. I can't say I'm a regular goer now, partly because I do feel, as you were saying, that it's become a bit formulaic, and that doesn't necessarily suit everybody. So finding new ways to allow people to actually get what they need. So we've talked about the fact that it's important to kind of find community. It's also important to get messages from loved ones. Obviously, that's what draws people to the churches. But it's also important to have a sacred space where people can feel connected to the divine or to spirit. And sitting in a church when you really do feel the presence of the divine is really powerful. And that all depends on the medium. So I think what is the biggest anchor for creating a church that will attract people is the quality of the medium and their ability to hold the light and to project that and make that available to the congregation. And the more that happens, the better the mediums are, and the more connected they are to their heart and their own personal journey, so that they have actually done enough work on themselves that they aren't just spouting words they don't necessarily relate to, but they've lived it. They live mediumship on a day-to-day basis, and they're talking from their heart, and they are standing there being spirit. I think that's what's going to draw people in, not necessarily singing hymns. That can have its place as well. The inspired speaking maybe can have its place as well. But I think if there's more of a fluid experience in the churches, I think that will make it more relevant.
You actually, you spoke to me last week, and you said something I've used, and I said it was my idea, by the way, but I've sort of stole it off you. No, I never. Is you actually said it was something which was really poignant to me, was the fact that you're there to feel spirit and be part of it, and that's something that I really enjoyed. And actually, when you think of a church service, if you go in there for an hour and you're going to see hymn, you don't have to sing the hymns. You can just sit there and just be part of the energy, and you can feel the spiritual energy building. As you said, a lot of it is down to the person on the rostrum in the evening, and I think that, again, for me, if I could rule the world, I'd like to sort of get everybody, like a big convention, get everyone in a room and sort of say, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And how are we trying to do it? I think that would be fantastic. And there's a great book, it's just from a corporate world, but a great book from a guy called Simon Sinek. And he talks about start everything with the why. We know what we do and how we do it. but why do we do it? And I think that's a lot of those things, are actually understanding the why. Why do people go? Why are we doing this now? You know, it's all of these things really, and it's about expanding our mind. But I think the one thing you said to me, which really, really resonated, was it's just being there to feel spirit. And I think that's important, and that does come down to the quality of the person on the rostrum, and that's hugely important. So, you know, how can we amplify that is the question really.
Well, the other thing is that, you know, we are creating a temple. I mean, that's where I learned a lot from the Wiccan work that I did. You're creating sacred space. So everything should be connected to the whole point of why you're there, which is to hold the light and allow people to have that divine connection. And so everything needs to point towards that. So whether it's the color of the paint in the room, whether, you know, the church itself is a church, when it's in a community center and there's no atmosphere that's created in the bricks and mortar, you can create it if it's done with intention wherever you are. It doesn't have to be necessarily bricks and mortar, although obviously that helps. Just by having things around the room that indicate that somebody has purposely set up a space where, you know, the spirit is invited in. So there's that as well. It's about creating ritual and creating sacred space, and then raising the power, which we do with the flow. And if you're in tune with spirit while you're working, that flow and that raising of the power will happen naturally. It's putting aside our own ego and just saying, okay, we're going to get it wrong. All mediums do. There's going to be mistakes. That's okay. But I'm just going to do the best I can. I'm going to open up and then just let it all flow.
And that's my next question, if I'm being honest. As being a medium myself, how do you know that? As being a medium myself, there is that, and we have spoken about before, but there is that being able to, if I'm the person who's the communicator who's giving the messages, is actually to leave my inhibitions at the door and actually not worry about getting things wrong, and go with the information that you give. And there was a great example the other Wednesday in the church that I go to, where this gentleman had 2 links, and he stayed with the 2 links, and he was talking about the 2 links, and both people could take exactly the same information. And I thought to myself, please keep going, and please don't go safe, because there's sometimes as a medium, you just, I've got 2 and I want to keep 2, and ultimately when you're giving information out and you close your eyes, you open it, you only really want to see 1 hand. You don't need to see 50 hands. And then he just went, this lady's a nurse, and it was like bang, that was it. And the woman just went, no, I can't take that. And the other woman went, yep, that's me. And it was just like, it was amazing. And what I loved about it was that he actually, you know, to use a phrase, he got on his tiptoes. He was out of his comfort zone. He was out of the box, and he just kept going. And I loved that. And that was a real moment for me to say, and I didn't see him afterwards. I wish I would have just said, well done, pal, because there could have been a tendency there not to really, you know, push the boat out. And he did. And I think we need to do that as mediums, and we need to, but how do we get it? So from a mediumistic point of view, we need to have more confidence, belief, and actually step in the energy and go for it. And from a congregation point of view, how do we get it? So, you know, you come in, there's always a molecule of skepticism, but how do people come into into the church or the theater, wherever we are, and relax in the fact that, you know, it's not about ego. It's not about trying to do anything. It's actually trying to work with spirit and provide a good evening, you know, of communication and energy, really.
Well, I think it all goes back to community. For ourselves, I think as mediums, we really need to support each other. And we really need to just get the message out as much as possible that, you know, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. I mean, you did something on the Facebook group that you set up for the course. You were supportive to somebody that struggled, and you have to support each other. It's the only way we're all going to get through this, because the rest of the world isn't supporting us. We're constantly being questioned, so we have to support each other, and things like this is amazing. And I want to thank you so much for setting this up and congratulate you, because this is brilliant for us mediums to know that there's going to be something like this once a week, where we know that, you know, there's going to be other people talking about their journey and their experience, and it's all about that. And I think we help each other, we grow more as a community, we will grow better mediums. You know, that is the way it is. No man is an island, and we really need to help each other. And then the congregation will just come. We can't do it. We can't do anything about the congregation, but we can do something about ourselves.
Yeah, and you're right. And I actually launched a website, and I'm not going to plug it because you'll probably know what it is anyway. But and I want to build a spiritual community, okay? And I started to build it within a platform, and I actually went, you know what? Something said to me, platform's not right. So I've got less hair than what I had last week because I've been pulling it out because I'm trying to create a platform where people can come onto, and there's going to be a cost to it, and I'll go through why there's a cost, but I'm not in to make money out of this. I can wholeheartedly tell you that. But it's going to be a community where we've got forums, we've got blogs, we've got a chat room, we've got a place where we can monitor, and then we'll get administrators and moderators, and people can go there and talk, and you know they can wake up in the middle of the night and go, what was that all about? And instantly go on to the group and say, you know, what was that all about? And being worldwide, you know, we got Melody. I love Melody. We met Melody in the Arthur Finley College. She's saying hello from Florida. She's 5 hours behind. So if you do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, she's still awake at midnight. She might answer you. So the great thing about it being all over the world as well is that there is a 24/7 community that we can link into. What I want to do is create that. So it's a place we can call home. And I think that's really, really important, not just for mediums or psychics or developers. That's for people, you know, as a kid at 16 years of age, when I was every night being spoken to by people in my bedroom that I didn't know, where could I go? Yeah. You know, I didn't want to walk in the church door. I didn't want to do, and you know, where can I go? Where can these people go? And I think that's massively important. I'm going to do a quick plug if I can. We've got 14 viewers at the moment, and that's gone up and down. And we just had Bella Walker Marshall to come and say hello, as well with Andrea Neal, and my Uncle Paul's here. This is a family show. My Uncle Paul, he's a great plumber. If you need anything, I was plugging it. But if you've got any, there's lots of people, 16 people now. If you can ask any questions in the comments section, because in 3 minutes time we're going to go across to the questions and answers session. Okay, so if you've got any questions, what we're talking about, please feel free. And if we haven't spoke about it, then prompt us to speak about it. So this is interactive. You've done well so far by saying hello. Now we're going to, you know, push you a bit more, get you on your tiptoes, and ask you to ask some questions that I'll put to the Reverend Linda Rausch. But these platforms are great, and it allows us to do these things, and it is important for us. Your mediumship. Tell us a bit about that.
My mediumship.
About your mediumistic journey.
Oh, wow. In 3 minutes. Before I do, I just have to say a quick thing, a very, very important, is that, you know, there's a lot of competitiveness sometimes in mediumship. And I think it's really important to recognize there's 6 billion or 7 billion people on the planet. I don't think we have to worry about being competitive at all. So I just want to say that, because sometimes that comes up and it stops people from feeling good about what they do. But in terms of my mediumship, well, I also in my bedroom at a very young age used to talk to spirit and used to get a bit scared, couldn't understand it. And it took me many years to find somebody. I think I was 21 by the time I met somebody who actually had any context for this for me, and gave me a prayer, a guardian angel prayer, which I then kind of used, and that was the only thing that I really had a lot of premonition dreams as a teenager, which was quite scary, but I shut it all down unconsciously. And then I studied everything from tarot, I Ching, runes, astrology. You know, it was a lifetime of study. And then it was probably about 7-8 years ago that a very good friend of mine, so I was doing a lot of psychic work, and she said, do the mediumship. And I was scared because I was very sensitive, like a lot of us. And I'd never watched The Exorcist, but I'd heard about it. So I was scared of the other side. And I went to a workshop with a wonderful guy called Henry Cummings. And he said, there's scarier people in your own family, probably, than you'll ever meet on the other side of life. And I thought about it and thought, actually, yeah, certain members of my family can really wind me up. It's unlikely that would happen from somebody on the other side, quite as extreme. And boom, that was it. That's all it took. And suddenly, well, the gates opened again. And, you know, ever since then, it's just been about honing it and finding a way to feel comfortable with it, and the way that I use it. So that's my medium.
Well, Vicky Pace thinks you're amazing. She says, Linda, I think you're amazing. And so do I think you're amazing. And thank you for being our first guest. And there's lots of people. Now, we spoke about Audrey, and there's a first question coming in, and right on time at 21:25. So I'm keeping the running order going. If you've got any other questions, please feel free to pop them in. We'll ask them. But Audrey's question is, she's trying to spread the word, and she was given a free reading at the Slimming Club. The reaction I got was fear. People are still fearful of it. What can we say to help people who fear it? Thank you, Audrey.
Right. Well, during my initiation, my Wiccan initiation, that part of the ceremony is one of the prayers is basically it's the little phrase: "Don't throw pearls before swine." It's not that, but it's something equivalent. And I always think to myself, okay, it's very wise to not offer what we do to people who are not willing or open to listening to it, because you're just setting yourself up. It's great to have a conversation, and you can put energy into that if you have the energy. But personally speaking, I don't have the energy. If somebody wants to challenge me about the mediumship, I'm walking away. In terms of spreading the word, people have their own personal awakenings at different points, and the light will go on for them, and they'll think, you know, if there was a way I could connect with my mother, I would really love to do that. How can I do that? And I think they're there. So those people who are there will find us anyway. Those people who are not there, they're not going to find us. And I just try and limit my exposure to negative attitudes, not because I think it's wrong to do that, because actually for some people it's very right. But for me personally, I'm just a bit exhausted. You know, I'm mid-50s and I've kind of reached a point where I want an easy life. So for me, if somebody wants a reading, they're welcome to it. But if they want to ask me a million questions about how it works, why, is it really true, then I'll probably send them on to somebody else who's willing to do that kind of work.
And that's where a development group or a development circle really could help those people. And I think, you know, that's hugely important. And again, it comes back to, doesn't it? It comes back to the quality of the development group as well.
That's slightly different. If they want to learn, I'm totally open to that. But if they challenge me, oh, I don't believe it really, then, you know, prove it to me, then I'm not about that.
No, you're right. I think, and again, we, you know, as being part of the spiritualist movement, we have very little to prove. And even, you know, the people who come into churches, I want to be able to give them, you know, I call it rock star evidence, you know, and that sometimes, you know, ambition bites the nails of success. And you can sometimes try and be, you know, push it too hard outside of your boundary. I'm contradicting myself slightly because I'm talking about all the time now, having come back from Arthur Findlay and on the Wednesday evening watching some of the finest mediumship I have ever seen, which was taking place by Lynn and Simone and Tony Stockwell. It was unreal. And it was fantastic. And it was great to be there. And it was, you know, in sporting senses, it was one of those ones where you say, I was there. It was one of those. It was one of those evenings, and I think which was amazing. So come on, it can't be only Audrey is asking the questions. Come on, let's ask her more questions. Kerry Palmer, come on, you must have a question for us. Kerry is she's applauding us. Kerry's another person that comes to our spiritual development group. I have got a question for you. If there was one tip you could give, okay, to a up and coming, budding new medium, what would it be?
Well, again, Henry Cummings, the first thing he said, or the most significant thing that he said in the that first day that I went to was, be brave. That's it, be brave. Just brave it out. Whatever it is, you will have, even at Arthur Findlay, there's always the Weeping Wednesday where everybody starts to, you know, everything comes up and everyone's crying. Not everyone, some people. You know, it really does take it out of you, this whole thing. we're doing intense work, really powerful, really important work in the world, and we pay a bit of a price because we have to be in integrity all the time, and therefore we have to look at our own stuff all the time. Otherwise, we're going to be held up on it. Something's going to happen that's going to show us our own stuff. And so just being brave with the whole thing, and keep going no matter what, and find friends, build a community, find your tribe. Don't give up. We're doing really, really, really important work in the world, and the world may not be, a lot of the world's not necessarily ready for what we do in the way that we want them to be, but that will happen. In another 10, 20 years, I think we'll be much more integrated into the culture that we live in the Western world anyway, and hopefully.
I think find the tribe is a great word, a great sentence, if you like, is that it is about finding those people. We've got Andrew Paulson. Okay, so he's really enjoying it. Thanks both. Could I ask Linda to say a bit about how she decided to take the step to become a reverend, and did you feel this specifically, or was it an organic process over time?
Andrew's a very, very special buddy. We had a very kind of special awakening with an organization called Waking Down in Mutuality, which is a kind of a consciousness awareness, embodying consciousness group. And we went through a very interesting process together. So, well, when I was at school, in fact, I found my old school report recently when I was about 12. I was really good at Latin and I was really good at religion. They were my two good subjects. The rest were really bad. My father said to me that I was going to be the first Jewish pope. So he put the idea in my head that of being a reverend in some way. I used to do a lot of memorial services because I was a counsellor for HIV and AIDS patients who are all heroin addicts, and I saw a lot of people die, and nobody wanted to do their memorial services. So I used to do them with a very dear friend of mine, and I did a lot of ministering at that time. So it's something I've always done, and this was just putting a label on it, really. And again, with the initiation with the Wiccan priestessing, that was another thing where I've held ceremony and ritual in various forms for many years. So it's really just another label. But in terms of the spiritualist aspect of it, this is where I am now. You know, mediumship seems to me that it has the greatest energy, the greatest pull, the greatest magnetism for me, because even though I was counselling for many, many, many years and I saw people change and transform, it takes a while. But you can connect them with one thing that their mother has said to them from the other side, and bam, their guilt drops. They can let go of the grief. They can transform. They can reconnect with their husbands, you know, because their mother has reminded them of how they were when they were young. It is so transformative that, as somebody, I've always been a healer, and it's the best healing tool I've come across, and so that's part of it too.
I'm conscious of the time, and we need to keep to the schedule, which is fine. But thank you that was a great answer. And that, you know, what you say there about, you know, providing that piece of unique evidence that you just see the weight lift off their shoulders. Uncle Paul is on fire tonight. He's got a few things going on here. He said, how can you test yourself spiritually? And we'll jump across it a little because there's lots of questions coming in now. I think how do you test yourself spiritually is by practicing it, I suppose. Yes.
Well, I'm sure that Paul has had an experience where he's picked up the phone and it's been Auntie Marge. It's like, oh, Auntie Marge, I was thinking of you just yesterday. You know, it's like, there you are. You already have a gift.
And his nephew is quite nice as well.
Exactly. Go to your circle or your development group, and that's it.
I'll put his name in there just in case you don't know who his nephew is. Kerry Palmer has said, it's hard to know if you're saying things to yourself or not when you're new listening to spirits. That's when a doubt comes in, but I suppose that's confidence, and that comes in just to go with it. Just go with it. I think also one thing I've learned, and if you come to the group, Kerry, we can work on it, is about creating that space. And if you like, parking your human to the one side, which allows that space, and spirit will always fill it for you. Linda Lockwood said, hi, Linda. How do you bring the mediumship through in your homeopathic consultations?
I said before about being the medium all day, every day, not being open to spirit messages necessarily, but just carrying the light and open to expanded awareness and just being both expanded and contracted at the same time. That may not make sense, but just allowing yourself to just kind of hold that space. And when I'm working with patients, I try and be very, very present, and that just automatically means that if there's information that needs to come through, I'll just hear it and then I'll check it out with the books.
Okay, perfect. Well, look, I'm conscious of the time. It's 21:35, which is when we said the questions and answers session would finish. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I'm pretty sure from the reactions and the comments that we've had from the people who are watching, it's been amazing. We talked before when we come on air. We said, you're going to hang around, or are you going to you're going to drop off? It's entirely up to you. But we're going to move on to the next session now, and I'm going to say thank you. And if we can have a virtual round of applause for our first guest, the Reverend Linda Rausch. She is available on the Spiritual Homeopathy website. We'll also put the link in here when we record it back. And I want to say thank you, not just for being the guest tonight, but also being an amazing sounding board over the last 2 to 3 weeks, where you've really helped me polish some of the ideas that we have, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I'll also give you a virtual a glass of water, because I know you don't drink.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We shall see you a little bit later on. God bless you. Well, we're moving on to the next part of the show now, which is we're going to look specifically at the Wellness Project, okay? And if some of you have visited my website, which is www.lightandharmony.co.uk, you'll see that there's a section there looking at the Wellness Project. And when I was, I'll give you a little brief breakdown of it. When I was working with Spirit about 6 years ago, they told me that they really wanted to create something, a wellness project, that we create a place, a space, if you like, for people to come and learn and have healing and all of those things that went on. And they were showing me a number of areas. And now I know we've got quite a few Welsh people in the audience, and they'll be very aware of Llantwit Major and the historical background of that wonderful town. It was one of the first colleges, Christian colleges in the world. It is revered to have both St. David and St. Patrick as students. At some stage, they had over 2,000 people actually at the college itself. So it's a very historical site. And they told me that I had to open a wellness center, and they drew it for me. And if anybody who knows me inside out, they'll know that I am the worst person at drawing. If it was down to me, we would only be looking at matchstick men and matchstick cats and dogs. I am terrible. But they made it very simple for me. And what they drew was a circle with a half moon in it. So it was a moon with a full moon. And they said, that's what the center needs to look like. And I was like, well, that's fantastic. So and then they showed me everything inside it. So I then went to a friend of mine and said to him, look, this is what they're showing me. Okay. Can you help me make it look as if it could become to life? He said, yes, of course he can. And of course, because we're trying to do it as a foundation and not to make any money out of it, he didn't charge me for that. It's just another favor I owe him. And he drew this. Okay. So that is the wellness center that I've been shown. And if you can see it, there's a full moon with a half moon cut into it. There's a number of healing rooms that are within the half moon of the actual center itself. And then the other part is the auditorium. So there's a stage and there's seats and there's all those bits and pieces. Then there's like a coffee shop, a communal area. That's what they showed me. And they said, you've got to build it. And I said, that's fantastic. It's going to cost about £500,000. Now, unfortunately, I went past the cash point today and didn't take any of that out. That's a lot of money. It's a sizable chunk. But what I want to do is I want to create it as a foundation. I want to create it as a charity. I want to build it. But we're going to need help. We're going to need a lot of help. So over the next, I don't know how long, okay, over the next 5 years, hopefully, all right, we might have the ability to raise the money to buy a piece of land in Llantwit Major. It has to be near water. I've been told it needs to be near a stream. Can't be too far away from the St. Illtyd's Church, which is the site of the original college. So there's lots of things that I've been told, but we need to go and find a piece of land. We need to go and buy it, and we need to go and build this, because in the day, it's going to be a drop-in center for people to come and have Reiki, to have spiritual healing, to have yoga, whatever it is, you use this wellness center. It's also ability for people like myself, when I was 15 years of age, to walk into somewhere and actually just have a cup of coffee, or, you know, a cake or something like that, communal center, where we can get people, you know, as Linda said, those people who want to learn, who want to understand, you get them to come and sit down and have those conversations. That's the idea. Okay. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of my time, but I'm really dedicated into doing it. And I hope that we can create something in South Wales. There's a lot of good, amazing Celtic spiritual energy that we need to tap into in Wales. And Llantwit Major, for me, is the place. So I wanted to show you that because I think it's important. And the £3 that you donate on the side, okay, all goes towards that fund. I'm going to create a not-for-profit foundation, and all of that money will go in there, and we'll raise as much money as we can. I'm also going to be doing readings. If you would like any readings online, or if you'd like a reading in person, then please feel free on my website, lightandharmony.co.uk. Money we raise from that goes into the foundation, the not-for-profit as well, so we can hopefully you know, get that going. Spiritual fundraisers, as Kerry Palmer once said, we can do that as well. It does, you know, there's lots of things we need to do, and that's what it's all about. Now, I hope you've made your donations, because I'm going to go on to the next segment now, which is, we might get a little bit of a little bit of feedback. I need to cut that quickly, but I'm going to do a one card reading for somebody. Okay, so I'm going to randomly select somebody. Okay, I'm going to say stop. All right. Oh, and it was Chris Palmer. So Chris, okay, you're going to be the person I'm going to do the card reading from. I am flying by the seat of my virtual pants here, because I don't know how we're going to do this. But Chris, I'm going to shuffle away, and if you could do me a favor, if you have the ability to say stop in the comment section, I will stop and take the top card. Okay. So Chris, if you can hear me, I pray to the Lord that you're still here. If you can say stop, you've said thank you, but not stop. So if you can say stop whenever you want, we finish at 10 o'clock. So I'll just keep going. Can we say stop when you're ready? Are we going to get a stop, Chris? Stop. There we go. I got it. Okay. So by the wonders of modern technology, okay, we are about to do something hopefully very amazing. Okay. Let's hope I can do this. Ah, yes, look at that. I've been practicing that all day, and I'm glad it's worked. So you've got the card, okay, which is called the Search, okay? So it's card number 6. So it can tell me a lot of things about you, all right? And specifically in terms of your spiritual side of things and your spiritual development, and sometimes the feeling of being confused a little bit, you know. Again, I know your daughter Kerry was talking about, you know, is that the voice? Is that not the voice? Is this? So there's sometimes, you know, there can be things in there where you feel a little bit confused. Also within your spirituality, which we need to sort out, I feel sometimes you can feel a little bit lonely with it. Okay, so you need to be coming into that group, and you need to be finding like-minded people and sitting in the energy and actually testing yourself, because what we don't want you to do is feel lost about your spirituality. Okay, all right. As I say that as well, I've opened myself up, so I'm gonna work a little bit mediumistically as well. I've got a gentleman who's just walked straight in, and he said, "Tell her Sid is here." Okay, can you tell us Sid is here? All right, and he tells me that he's very much watching you at the moment, and he's liking the fact that you're having a good holiday. This energy I just pick up, I'm pretty sure is your father. Okay, and as he comes in, he just tells me that he hopes you're having a good time and everything's going well as well. And he's also telling me as well, this could be a great breather for you. Okay, I hope you can understand that. All right, and I hope you understand the card reading as well. All right, so what you need to do is you need to come back to development group. You need to sit in the development group, and you need to work with us so you don't feel so lonely, so we can work on you on some of the confusion, and you don't have to feel so lost. I hope that card reading was good for you. You never know. Fingers crossed that made sense for you. And I don't know whether you can put any comments in there, whether I got the mediumistic link as well, because this gentleman's still with me. He's a very smart gentleman. He stood there and he's just saying to me, "That's my girl." Okay, and as he's doing that, he's sort of holding what's the word I'm looking for? It's a jacket. Okay, so he's got a very nice suit on, and he's holding a jacket, and he's saying, "Just tell her, have a good time. That's my girl." Let's hope that worked. Okay, and I'm sure we'll get some feedback. We'll get some feedback on that as things go along now. So we're looking at the time. So I'm about 5 minutes short at the moment. I hope people are enjoying what's going on, and the comments coming in as well. If you've any, one of the ways we're going to do this, and I worked with Linda on it a lot, really, was we're designing this from the outside in, not the inside out. Okay, so we want you to tell us what you would like, and we'd also want you to tell us that, you know, things that worked, things that didn't work, how you would like to see things. This is the first show, after all. Okay, so one thing we're going to do now is it's going to be a little bit different. All right, is certainly we're going to be working on a meditation. All right, a guided meditation. Now, I've never done a guided meditation online before. I've done them in a spiritual group, and I laughed on Monday night because it was the first spiritual group that the development group that I'd taken for nearly 12 months, and there was a lot of new people there. And we had, I think it was 16 people at the group, which is a great number. It's a great start, and long may that continue. And when I do a guided meditation, I always close my eyes. And I was doing this guided meditation, and I get to the point when I leave you, and which we'll do that in a minute. And then I open my eyes, and I was hoping that when I opened my eyes, I didn't have 15 other people just looking at me going, "I couldn't go with you. I couldn't find it." But it was great, because when I opened my eyes, everyone's eyes were closed, and they were definitely in meditation, which is great. So what I would say is, and I'm going to, use the terminology so I don't get sued. If you are driving, this isn't recommended. So don't close your eyes. And also on those the tablet things, they say you mustn't be using any heavy industry or heavy machinery. So for all those people out there who are watching this driving a forklift truck, if you can please stop and park up and give us 5 minutes, and we'll have a look at what we're doing. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to sit comfortably. All right, I want you to relax. All right, and we're going to spend sort of 5 minutes in a meditation. All right, then we're going to come back, and this is the part that you need to get involved in. All right, so I want you then in the comment section just to tell me things, and we'll bring it up on the screen. So did you hear anything? Did you feel anything? Did you sense anything? Did you see anything? Did you smell anything? Okay, so here we go. So it's going to be a guided meditation. It is my favorite, which is the woodland meditation. All right. So I want you to sit down. I want you to calm. I want you to be relaxed. All right. And I want you to close your eyes. So I want you to be sat in a chair, and I want you to close your eyes. So I'm going to close my eyes as well. Okay. And as we sit here now, I just want you to sort of just get comfy and make sure that you're in the most comfortable position. If you want to crick your neck or crick your fingers or whatever you want to do, have a little stretch, okay? And then we're going to sit down. Now, as we close our eyes, all right, I want us to take a big deep breath in. And as we breathe in, I just want us to hold that breath for a few seconds, and then I want us to breathe out. And as we breathe out, we let all of that stress and strains of today just slip away. We breathe in again, quite deep. We hold it for 2 seconds. And as we breathe out this time, we feel ourselves becoming more and more comfortable, more and more relaxed. As we sit here now in our own energy, I want us to imagine that you and I are sat on a bench outside a beautiful woodland cottage. And as we sit on this bench, we look up to the sky and we see the wonderful, warm sunlight on our face, the amazing trees, the beautiful birds, the wonderful sounds of nature. You can hear the river in the background, the stream nearby. You take one more deep breath and you breathe out. You are totally relaxed, totally calm, and totally safe. Now I'm going to ask you to stand up in the meditation and turn around and walk with me. And as we do, you see on the right hand side there's a beautiful gate. And I open the gate for you, and you walk down the path. And as we look down the path, we see all these wonderful trees and birds and animals, and you can feel the sunshine on your face. Those wonderful smells of fresh mint, fresh wild garlic. And as we're walking along the pathway just up ahead, you see a wonderful clearing with the sun rays just beaming down. And we're going to walk up, and there's this beautifully hand-carved bench. We're taking everything in around us, and we're so relaxed, so calm, so safe. And as we get close to the bench, we just sit down. We just feel this wonderful energy that's around us. As we look up to the trees again, we feel the warm sunshine just on our face, giving us that feeling of safe and secure, of love and light. And as we find our own natural rhythm of breathing, I'd like you to stay on this bench for a little while. I'm going to leave you for a moment and see if anyone comes to sit next to you, or the feelings you get, the colors you have. I'm going to leave you for a very small moment in time to sit and enjoy this wonderful space, this amazing feeling of being calm, relaxed, and within the energy. I'll be back soon. And as you're sitting there now, I walk back. And again, we look around us and we appreciate the beauty before us, the gift that we've been given, the precious moments we've spent in this wonderful spiritual place. As I take your hand, we start to walk back down the pathway, past the beautiful river with the amazing sounds, back to the gate that I opened for you, back to the cottage, back to the seat. And as we sit down, we just take one last deep breath. we feel relaxed, re-energized, and comfortable in the knowledge we shared that spiritual time together. If you'd like to slowly open your eyes and bring yourself back, that would be wonderful. Well, how did that go? I hope you enjoyed it. It's hard doing it virtually because I don't know how many of you are following, how many of you are not following, whether you followed or not, whether you enjoyed it. So if you can put your comments in the section. Linda, would you like to come back on? I'll bring Linda back on for you now.
Hello again.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Nice meditation.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I had a parrot appear, which was very odd.
Parrot.
Parrot. Lots of kind of technicolor macaw colors. I was like, what are you doing here? That was interesting.
Did he speak back?
Yeah, he said pretty Polly, of course, in a kind of joking way. Yeah. And then he started getting very kind of like, And I thought, what's he doing here? It was something to do with the colors and the sight of the eye. So I'll absorb that and integrate it and see what that's about at a future date.
Well, I'm looking now and I'm seeing the comments that are coming through. And Rachel Colcoom said that was brilliant. And her and David really enjoyed it. That's my cousin. So there's a lot of family here. Lisa Lockwood said it was fantastic. Kerry Palmer said, wow, I had a purple light, then a yellow, then the yellow. A little girl was there. She was playful and we were holding hands, dancing around in circles. And then we skipped off as we walked back through the gate.
Oh, lovely.
That's amazing, isn't it? You know, sometimes people talk about technology and the internet and they talk about all the bad reasons and the things you can't do. But when you read something like that, that's amazing. We have Nicole who come to the service on Sunday. She had smells of mint and the woodland, which was lovely. And let's hope that she enjoyed that as well. So Jackie Weber said it was wonderful. Thank you very much. And I think it worked. So I was gonna, sometimes when you do the first things and you don't know how it's going to work out, but I think next time I don't know whether we should bring some music in, or you know, we can have some a little bit of music in there or not. That's down to you guys as well. My uncle Paul saw some shapes, squares, dark and red, which is interesting. Very spiritual colors. Lisa Lockwood said she saw a beautiful fox with a black tip tail. Do you know what? It was funny because we did this on Monday night in our development group, and the woman who never sat down before said, this wonderful fox come and sat on the bench next to me. And then she said, that's all I had. And I felt like saying, well, considering you've never done this before, you managed to follow me, which was one thing. And then to see those things, which was amazing. So so that was fantastic. It's nearly an hour. It's gone really, really quick. I appreciate everybody that's watched, and if you're watching this in replay, you know, let's do it live next time if you are there. And it's going to be 9 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time on a Thursday evening with lots of guests, and the Reverend Linda Rausch has certainly set the bar extremely high in terms of guests. So let's see where we go from there. I'm sure she'll be back on, and also an avid viewer, and maybe if I want a week off, she can come and do the hosting as well. I'm sure she'd love that as well.
I'd love that. And next time we've got to hear more about you and your journey as well.
Yeah, maybe. You know, I think some people are probably bored of it, but those people that don't know me are probably not. But we shall see. And thank you for that. I want to say thank you to everybody because it has been amazing. If you have donated to the Spiritual Light Wellness Project, thank you very much. If you haven't, the link's on the side. Thank you for all of your comments. Thank you for all of your questions. I really do hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed it. And as I said, it's been probably 2 weeks in the progress to get it to where it was this evening. And I think for a first show, I think it wasn't bad.
I agree.
I agree. There's always room for improvement, and let's see where we can improve next time. Audrey, as always, thanks for saying a great show. It's a pleasure as always, and we're going to finish up right on time. So thank you very much to everybody. If, as I said, if you're watching this as a recording, then please ensure you watch the live version next week. Spread the love and spread the links. Thank you very much. Love and light. Be careful. Have a great week ahead of you. And just try, as you always say in my new mantras, be love and give love. Thank you and good night.